something good came out of it in the end. So that was cool. But it was definitely a point where I was like depressed, and I don't want to say I wanted to kill myself or nothing like that, but you know,
it ran through there. It ran through there real quick.
It ran through there like, you know, you're like, no, you just about to be a bum out here. Like, what are you doing?
Welcome to Beyond the Game, where mental wellness competes. I'm your host, Philip Reynolds, licensed clinical social worker, LCSW. I spent over 2 decades working in mental and behavioral health, sitting with families, athletes, and young people in some of the hardest moments of their lives. Over time, one pattern became impossible to ignore. The athletes who looked the strongest on the outside were often carrying the heaviest pressure on the inside. I kept meeting high performers who knew how to train their bodies, knew how to push through pain, knew how to fight for a starting spot or a scholarship, but no one had ever taught them how to process loss, identity shifts, injury, burnout, or the silence that comes when their playing careers end. That gap is what led me to create Copious Life Sports Initiative, or CLSI. Our mission is to close what we call the resilience gap. That is the space between pushing through and breaking down, where too many athletes get stranded. This podcast exists because the conversation around athlete mental health needs more than headlines. It needs stories, real stories from athletes who lived it, coaches who saw it, parents who felt it, journalists who covered it, professionals working to change the system. Because athletes are not just performers, they're people. Here, we talk about the pressure behind the performance, the identity behind the jersey, the silence behind the success. My hope is that every episode helps athletes feel less alone, helps families feel more equipped, helps coaches and leaders rethink what it really means to support the whole athlete. This is Beyond the Game, and I'm really glad you're here.
Welcome to this episode of Beyond the Game, where mental wellness competes. We are excited to have with us today Joel Barkers. Joel is the founder of You Reach I Teach Basketball Academy and a former Division I and professional basketball player whose journey has taken him through some of the most competitive environments in the game. A Washington, D.C. native, Joel played collegiately at the University of Hartford in Central Missouri, where he built a reputation as a high-level forward known for toughness, production, and rebounding. During his college career, he was recognized nationally as one of the few players in the country to average a double-double and rank among the nation's top rebounders. But Joel's story was shaped long before professional basketball. He came through elite basketball environments, including DeMatha Catholic Prep and Mount Zion Christian Academy, a program known for producing future NBA talent. Those experiences gave him more than exposure. They gave him a firsthand understanding of what it takes to compete, adjust, endure pressure, and keep developing when the expectations around you are high. His professional career later took him overseas to Greece, Germany, England, and China, along with opportunities connected to NBDL and the Denver Nuggets Summer League and training camp environments. Today, Joel has taken everything he learned as a player and poured it back into the next generation through You Reach I Teach Basketball Academy. His work is about more than basketball training. It's about mentorship, discipline, confidence, teamwork, character, and helping young athletes grow as people while they grow in the game. Joel gives athletes access to someone who has lived the journey, seen the levels, and understands both the opportunity and pressure that come with chasing basketball dreams. This conversation goes beyond basketball training. It's about development, identity, mentorship, exposure, pressure, and what young athletes truly need from adults guiding them. Joel brings an important voice to Beyond the Game because his work sits at the intersection of performance and purpose. He's not just teaching athletes how to play. He's helping them understand how to grow, how to compete, and how to carry themselves beyond the game. Welcome, Joel. Excited to have you with us today.
Thank you. That was awesome. I like that. I gotta put that somewhere. That was nice.
Yeah, for all y'all listening in, I've known Joel for a number of years. He's a great guy. He's terrible at Madden, but I keep him around We interact, and he's one of the few people that I would actually trust to train my own son, who trains here at You Reach I Teach Academy. And so while we're excited to have you here today, we want to learn more about you. So tell us about Joel beyond basketball.
I'm currently a dad. I've been a dad for 5 years. Been with Felicia Johnson for 8 years, and we had our son Cinco. Moved out to Laytonsville, just living the family life.
I think great guy, connected, loves to talk. You feel the energy when he comes into the room. I think even kind of making sure that when you're here, all the trainers and everybody is pushing and competing at his highest level. I think I told you when I first came in here, I grew up in PG County, Maryland, home of basketball. And I came in here, I'm like, yo, we in Montgomery County, but this feels like PG. Just what do you try to bring to this training facility? And what do you want people to know about what it is to be at You Reach I Teach training under your tutelage with your trainers?
So I feel like it has that feel because I also grew up in PG, Fort Washington as well. I grew up out here in Gaithersburg as well, but I was back and forth with my uncle. My mom was a single mom, raising, multiple kids, and she needed help. So she sent me to my uncle quite a few times when I was being a knucklehead as a kid. And I stayed out there, went to school out there. So, I've been around those environments. Also, the level of basketball I was playing back in the day when I was a kid, most of my teams were DC or PG teams that I was playing on. So all the kids that I grew up around and hung out with, were all from DC and PG. So I feel like I have that in me as well, even though I rep Montgomery County 100%, this is my home. And, I tell anybody who asks, this is where I grew up. But, my best friends and all of that, they're all from PG County or DC and stuff like that. So, I just kind of am being myself and organic and authentic when we're in this space. And, basketball, is a culture. It's got its own and and all that. And so I think that's why you said what you said when you first came in here, it feels like you're in PG County or whatever, and our trainers and stuff like that, I'm always on top of them. I make sure, they're my friends and they're my guys, but, when it's business, it's business. And I like to hold everybody accountable. We have a great reputation. We've been in business for 10 years. So, I just want to keep that reputation going. And also it really is about the kids, so I want everybody to give 100%, into this business. And, everybody doesn't always do that when they're not the owner, but, I pay these guys well, to be honest, I pay these guys well to where some of them it's just the only job they have. So, and I do that for a reason. I could be, a little cheap and keep more to myself, but I think by paying them a little bit more, I think it helps, them be a little bit more enthused about coming in here.
Nah, I see that. I understand that. You get that vibe when you're in here and you're working with these guys. And so my question to you is, kind of, when do you remember falling in love with the game?
That's a good question. I think when I was younger, I loved basketball, but I was trying everything. I played soccer, I played football, I played basketball. I think tennis was the first sport my parents put me in. But I think probably around middle school, I was the tallest kid in school, and I was really good, and I really dominated in middle school. So I was definitely one of the best players in the area, all over papers and little rankings that probably didn't really mean nothing, but as a kid they meant something to you. So I think I fell in love with it then. I was always going back and forth, am I going to be a football player? Am I going to be a basketball player? But I'll tell you this, I got hit really hard by Tanar Jackson and Joey Hooks one time.
You like basketball.
And I realized that, it's probably not the sport for me.
Hey, they said so many basketball players find themselves when you put the pads on.
Exactly, yeah. I was, it's funny because I was in 6th grade, but I was so big that I was playing with 8th graders, 8th and 9th graders. Tanar Jackson played for the Redskins.
Yeah.
And I think the Tampa Bay Bucks. Joey Hooks played at Shepherd, but he was a Division I talent.
Yeah.
It was numerous guys on that team that I played against. It was Montgomery Village Chiefs. I think they won everything that year.
Yeah.
It was numerous guys that I played against that were Division I, NFL guys, and I'm a 6th grade basketball player,
Right.
that's good. And I'm playing the quarterback position for Seneca Sports.
Yeah.
I think I went and did like a fake handoff, turned that corner, and I was like, yeah. At that moment, I was like, yeah, I love basketball.
So hitting in football, find a love. Oh, man, that's good stuff. What was your first real basketball environment where you feel like basketball was serious at that point and you had to take it seriously and kind of get focused up? What was your first real basketball environment?
Man, so I had a few, but I'm gonna say there was a game in college, and it's weird that I'm saying it's college because you would think I would say like middle school. I've been in tough environments in middle school. I played with, Kevin Durant. I played with Ty Lawson. I played with a lot of guys. But I remember being at Baylor University, and we were in a dogfight with them. We were actually beating them. They were like top 5 in the country. I was at University of Hartford, a small mid-major school, and we were beating them. And I realized, I looked up in the rafters. I was like, yo, I've been watching these guys play on TV. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I'm really in this game with these guys. Like, and now I was like, man, I really felt like I made it in that moment.
Right.
Almost like I made it, but I was like, I just couldn't believe that this was my reality. Like,
right.
I was really on the floor. I had a good game that game. I had like 16 and 8 or something like that. But we ended up losing at the buzzer. Epke Udo turned around in the corner, made a wild, like, spin around shot.
Yeah.
And they stormed the court on us.
Oh.
But they were, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you storm the court on Hartford?
Who you were supposed to be smoking at the time.
They were smoking us.
Yeah.
We were getting ready to take this L, and it was fun. It was my junior year. It was a good moment. You can look it up on, so you know I'm not fabricating.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, it was amazing, man. Epke Udo, I remember him. He got drafted like really high. Or something like that, but spin around shot. But it would have been crazy if we actually beat them.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been.
We
wild.
weren't supposed to beat them. Like,
right.
We had Lace Darius Dunn, Epke Udo, and there was another kid that got drafted like first or second round.
Right.
It's like 4 guys that got drafted.
That's
off that
crazy.
team. So that's when I was like, damn, I'm here. Like, I'm on the court. I can play with these guys, and I believe in myself.
Yeah. When did you kind of realize that the game could open some doors for you? Because you played a little time overseas, right?
Yeah.
So when did you realize they could open doors for you?
I think in high school I realized that. Like, I mean, like I said, the college was that moment where I looked up and I was like, I made it. But that was like my moment where I felt like it was almost like I got drafted or something. You know what I'm saying? But in high school, I knew I could like play Division I, maybe Division II, whatever. I knew I could play basketball at a high level. I was one of the best players in the area.
Right.
And all my teammates were, high level guys. I probably even had another moment. I remember playing against like my sophomore year. I was playing against like Kevin Durant, Jesse Sapp, Chris Cole. It was National Christian versus I was at Notre Dame Academy at the time. And that was another time where I was like, damn, I'm competing with, the top names in the area right now. Like these were the guys. Like I think Kevin, his senior year, was like the number 2 player in the country, and Chris Cole was the number 1 point guard. Deron Washington went to Virginia Tech. He was like, man, that team was insane. Like Jesse Sapp played at Georgetown. It was just insane. And when we were on the floor competing, I think I had maybe close to 20-something rebounds. Like it was like I probably had like 10 points, but like 20 rebounds.
Right, right.
It was just crazy. But Kevin probably had 30 and 15. But I just felt like, yo, I'm competing with you.
Right.
I'm on the floor. I grabbed the rebound over you, dog.
Right.
Like, it was cool. So that was just like some of the moments where I felt like I belonged, and that I could probably go to college and do something. I was a little bit delusional, if I'm be honest. Like I always told myself, I was a big believer in like manifesting, and I always manifest that one day I'm gonna have an NBA jersey on. And that's like, even though it wasn't like regular season, I still got my opportunity to put an NBA jersey on. So I played in the summer league, and that was cool. And I really attest that to like manifesting things.
Yeah. But no, I think you put the talent in and the hard work behind it, right? Like, so nowadays, to find a hooper that takes pride in rebounding, that ain't you don't see too much of that. What did it take to kind of become one of the top rebounders probably in the country at the time to like really get after it? Because that's almost a lost art.
Yeah. I didn't even realize I was that good at it. Like I really just was like playing hard. Like I was just playing hard. I was a good defender. I was always like probably checking the best offensive guy on the team. And I just played hard, man. I would just rebound. I was a big, strong African kid.
Right.
I boxed people out and go get the rebound. That's what they told me to do. I did it. Like, it wasn't like I went and practiced. I never worked on it. Like, really, only in practice I probably, box out drills and stuff like that. But in games, I was like snagging rebounds. And I wasn't even the most athletic guy. I didn't get off the floor crazy. I just cleared my space. Right. You know what I'm saying? I cleared my space and I was going to get the ball. And I feel like I just could tell where the ball was coming off at. Like, if a shot was coming from one side, I knew if it hit front rim, it was probably coming over to the other side. Right. So I kind of like hand out where I figured out where the ball would bounce, it was coming off and stuff like that.
So I think, we talk about sports and not every kid is going to go pro. Most aren't, right? Not every kid is going to go D1 to college. Most aren't, right? But sports teach us something. There's something about the game, the skill that we take to the next level. And so if we look at that rebounding and what it took to become a great rebounder, to just go and get it, clear your space, execute, eye on the goal and everything else, how has that translated to how you approach life in general in business, right? How does some of that same mindset translate to success you found off the court?
Yeah. So I always say this to Felicia because she's late everywhere she goes. I always gotta be screaming at her and Cinco, "You making me late? Like, come on, let's go." Right. Because I think I was an athlete. Being on time to practice is being late. Right. Like if you weren't at practice 30 minutes before, or in college an hour before. Right. Stretching, getting ready, like you're late. You're not in the locker room an hour before practice. You're late. So I've always been. Just on time, very punctual, stuff like that. Now that I'm 10 years into You Reach I Teach, I've gotten a little bit lazy. I won't lie. Right. I know my staff is handling things, and I show up like I'm supposed to be there at 4. I'll get here at 4:10. Right. I know you got to stretch for 10 minutes. So, I've figured out my little ways I can cut corners and stuff like that. But, I think overall it's really helped with my discipline. And, it's just being an athlete and being held to a standard when you're younger all the time. My whole life I've been held to certain standards. Got to be here, got to be there, got to do this, got to do that. So it's like following a schedule, and that's what I do at You Reach I Teach. So that's why I think we've had so much success, because we just run this place like really sharp. People always leave reviews or say to me like, "Dang, you guys really are on top of things, and you're running it very sharp. This time to that time, then this next group comes on, this and that." So, I attest all that to being an athlete and
holding a standard.
And holding a standard.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that's great. So you played in high school. We talked about DeMatha, Mount Zion Christian. You played in college at 2 different schools, and then you had a cup of coffee at the summer league at the NBA. Talk to me about what those differences were like, adjusting to that different level of competition, and kind of what that was like for you.
At the each level you go up, it definitely got harder and harder. I think, high school, I was having 20-plus rebound games. I was scoring quite a bit in high school too. Definitely averaged at least 20 in 3 of my years of high school, at the varsity level. And then when I got to college, they got better. My junior year at Hartford, my rebounding was like probably 7 rebounds a game or something like that. So, they got better. I realized when I got to the NBA Summer League, I couldn't get a goddamn rebound. It was so goddamn hard. It was huge. I was like, God damn. So I probably had like a game where I might have got like 2 rebounds or something like that. But it's definitely a different level. It's the guys are bigger, they're more athletic. I played at Hartford, so I was a 3-4, but like at 6'5", 6'6", in the NBA, those 4s are 6'11". Yeah. So even in the summer league, I had Luke Herringody on my team that played at, I think he played at Notre Dame or something like that. But just in practice, trying to box out him, he could probably lift a car up. He was probably the strongest dude I've ever been hit by. Yeah. Just getting boxed out by him. It was just it's definitely levels. Like,
Yeah.
The NBA is really like no boys allowed.
So some of it is going to be work ethic, but some of it is the natural God-given genetics, right? If you didn't have a 42-inch vert,
right.
You have a 42-inch vert, your career goes a lot different than what you have. But that hard work and discipline gets you through those doors, right? Because maybe based on your size, maybe you shouldn't have been there.
Right.
But because of your work ethic, discipline, and everything brought to the table, you shined and you stood out. And a lot of these guys don't get that extra stuff matters.
Yeah, no,
it matters. It has value. That character matters. You're seeing some of that play out with John Morant and his situation. That the character counts. You can't just show up and do whatever you want. Now, he's got enough talent where you can act a fool and still get opportunities, but all the other stuff, that's unspoken stuff, is what carries you to that next level. And so you were able to go from an opportunity to get in the summer league to playing overseas. What was that time like overseas? And as a kid growing up, PG County, DC, everything else, did you ever see yourself traveling the world like you did?
I mean, that wasn't like my goal. My goal was always the NBA and stuff like that. So I wasn't like super focused on traveling the world, but I was actually born in London. I didn't move here until I was 5 years old. I had been overseas already. I grew up, my first 5 years in London. I still remember it. And I actually had the opportunity to go play in London and Chester, England. So it was not a goal of mine, but I was ready for it. I was ready for the moment when the opportunities gave me opportunities. I was ready for it. But my first couple years there, I feel like I underachieved overseas as a whole, just because I tore my quad tendon. I still got the scar on my knee, and it took me like 15 months, 16 months to even get back on the court. It was like an injury that I never really bounced back from. Even though I think as I got maybe like 2 to 3 years removed from that injury, I was like, yeah, I could really play. But if I'd never had that injury, I believe my career would have been so much different. I didn't really stick anywhere. I didn't play more than a year. Well, I played more than a year with the Lions, but I didn't get to play more than a year anywhere else. Right. I didn't sign like a 2-3 year deal anywhere, nothing like that. So I was just kind of bouncing around, journeyman over there, just traveling, new contract every year, just trying to figure it out, figure out what I was trying to do next while I was playing overseas. And, I knew my time was coming to an end at some point, the later I got in my career overseas.
Yeah. I know we've talked about when that playing career came to an end, and that grieving process of who am I now? Yeah. What do I do now? And, from our conversations, it sounded like you hit a pretty low point.
Yeah.
And out of that came You Reach Out Teaching, what you're doing now. But can you talk a little bit for the athletes that are in it right now and can't see the end, right? They think I'm going to the league, I'm going through X, Y, and Z. And it could be injury, it could be getting cut, not getting opportunity. But what was that low point like for you?
Man, that low point, I remember it like it was yesterday. As soon as I stopped playing, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was kind of planning, but my plans didn't come. I was actually kind of planning You Reach, I Teach like my last year overseas. And I even, my best friend at the time was playing for the Rockets. I even met with a lady from the Rockets. I told her my idea, and she kind of acted like it was a dumb idea or something. I was like, but I went back home, after traveling the world, being that guy. Everybody thinks you're kind of still famous and all that when you're overseas and stuff like that. So you come home and you're that guy. But realistically, every time I would come home, or something, I would go to my mom's house and stay at my mom's house. And I remember being in my mom's basement one time, just depressed and down, damn, what the hell am I about to do with my life? So I was trying to figure it out. My mom telling me, oh, you need to figure something out. You need to get a job or something like that. I'm just year 6, 7, 8 months in doing nothing. So it's it was cool because, the first couple months was cool because, my friends were still in the NBA. So I was
still adjacent, right next to it. Yeah.
I was right next to him. I was in the life. We were going out every night, but I was still coming back but what's your plan? That's his journey. What's your journey? What's your story? So it was definitely tough, man. I had to figure something out. But honestly, You Reach, I Teach came out of it. Like I was in my mom's basement. I was sitting up on the computer every night, researching, figuring out, do I need how to get my CPR cert and this and that, just everything to be able to work with kids, figure out the licenses or whatever you need to be able to work with kids, and it something good came out of it in the end. So that was cool, but it was definitely a point where I was like depressed, and I don't want to say I wanted to kill myself or nothing like that, but
it ran through there. It ran through there real quick.
It ran through there like, you're like, dog, you just about to be a bum out here. Like, what are you doing? It's crazy because I had a college degree, but I studied criminal justice, and I think they kind of just gave me my major when I went to school. Like they didn't kind of ask me what I wanted to do. They just kind of told me something that was going to be like kind of easy because the schedule you're about to have as a college athlete is crazy. Yeah. No, you can't really study some crazy shit because like you ain't going to be able to study like that. You got to put a lot of work in on your game and stuff like that. So, I'm not going to say I was the worst student, but I definitely wasn't the best student.
Right. I think we kind of glazed over it a little bit, but, we talk about the stat where the number 2 leading cause of death for NCAA athletes is suicide. I think part of it is these conversations aren't happening, and these guys are getting to the end of their career and they don't have a game plan. And You Reach, I Teach kind of in the back of your head, and you were able to kind of build and come up with that out of the dark place you were in. But if you don't even have that inkling of an idea, right? You turned your identity that was wrapped around basketball into basketball to help others and a way to give back and pour into that next generation. But for athletes that don't have that, I think it gets to a real scary place. When athletes don't have mom's house to go back to, it's like, what house am I going to? What am I going to do? Like, I'm going to be a burden if I go back here because, they struggling on this end too. And so as you're coaching athletes and working with athletes, you have some guys that still in the NBA, kind of how important is that identity outside of basketball in order to sustain you?
Yeah. No, it's definitely very important. I mean, some of the NBA guys I train now or like, European guys I train now, or guys in Europe that I train now, we definitely have those conversations constantly about like investing or like figuring out what you want to do while when it's still hot, honestly. Because the candle does go out, the ball does stop bouncing.
For everybody.
At some point, it ain't been one person that's probably been a 50-year-old in the league.
LeBron.
LeBron the closest.
He's pushing
the closest.
Yeah.
But he probably could play till 50.
Yeah, he probably.
If he could take
just a couple minutes, role, 10, 20 minutes.
For sure. But it's very important to start thinking about what you want to do and who you want to be and how you want to impact this world, Like, I think when you have, when you are an athlete and you have been in those, you just made a name for yourself. I think people kind of are drawn to you, even though they're not sure why they're drawn to you. They're just drawn to you. I know when I used to like walk in a room, I could just always feel everybody's looking at me, or like I just always was like popular or cool to people. But you have no idea what I'm really going through. So it's like I think while your name is hot and while you are still kind of popping, you gotta try to figure.
And that's when you build it. When you have the resources, you have the income, you can set it to the side. And even those guys that make it to the league, those paychecks come to an end. And the likelihood of continuing to get paychecks like that on a regular basis post-career, that ain't.
Not even just that. It's like you also build a certain lifestyle when you're in it like that, and then once those checks stop, you can't really sustain that lifestyle anymore. You have to completely change things. You out buying watches and going to the club every night. Like there was a point where I was probably like 4 or 5 years where I think I went to the club every single day. Like, it was like
wild behavior,
bro. Just wild behavior. If it wasn't the club, we doing something,
right?
We
got it
outside.
But that's you, because you can't sit still now. Like you come in and do this, go ride dirt bikes. You meet out with your son. I see you all over. You can't sit still now. So probably then with the access opportunities and for a 20-something, the excitement of going to the club and the party scene and everything else, like you get drawn into it. And so I think that's an excellent example of how like we have certain character traits that extend beyond the game, but that not sitting still now has opened doors, created opportunities, and creates an amazing life for your wife and your fiance and your son is because you're looking to do the next thing and create something, and you like to have fun. Like I've seen you, whenever people around you, whenever you in here, you like to bring fun into the room, which I think is a fantastic part of your personality.
No, I appreciate that. No, for sure.
Yeah, and so kind of now the game has changed. It's shifted a little bit. You see it in here with the way these kids approach the different aspects of the game that you're bringing out on the court. You see it when you go and watch AAU. You see it creeping into the league. What's changed for young players hooping these days? What's different? What's different good, but what's different scary?
A lot has definitely changed, even in this space of like being a trainer. Man, the game has changed a lot. You know, money's involved now, so it's not as, to me, as pure as it was. You know, when I first got into this space, or even when I was playing, like I was just hooping for the love. I knew I wasn't going to college and making $2-point-something million. Like that wasn't my plan. But now, you know, I just had a college kid back in here the other day who's getting ready to probably be on his third school, and he's gonna get like $1 million plus to go to somewhere. So it's just the opportunities are different. But I see parents starting earlier now. They're planning really hard. They're really investing in their kids now. You know, they're getting a lot of work in, whereas back then it wasn't so much like, you know, you gotta, like, you know, some people are here every day, 4 or 5 hours a day. So like, people are really like planning for not just the NBA, but now for college. Because college is the new professional sports. Like you make it to college, you can make some really, really good money in college. So
I think, I mean, all that's a positive, right? But what's the scary side of what you see happening in basketball today?
All of that is a positive, but it's also scary because you never know why people want to be around you anymore or hang around you. And it's just like, I don't know, kids aren't being able to be kids anymore. You know, like you're putting so much into it, you know, and you're forgetting to live a little as well. So, you know, I had so many experiences as a kid that like I think helped shape me today, where I feel like these kids aren't really getting to experience all that, you know? So it's a lot different. There's good to it, there's bad to it. I think the money thing has some positive things about it, but I also think it has a lot of negative things about it too. So they got to find a happy medium with that.
So you get around, right? You probably be down to Peach Jam. You've been to Summer League. You get to go to pro games. You're in here. You see the parents. What are you seeing from the parents that are wanting to see their kids succeed, but maybe overdoing it, right? Like we be in here, you hear a parent coaching harder from the sideline and here than what would you encouragingly, thoughtfully say to parents as they have their kids in these spaces?
So I mean, I always keep it real with parents in here, especially in here. Like, you know, I probably don't run this as professionally as I should. I really like, you know, build relationships with the parents and stuff like that. It's not all about business in here. You know, I really try to help guide and give good advice from what I've seen in the past. And, you know, but a lot of parents definitely overdo it, you know, kind of make kids maybe dislike the game as well. You know, it's like parents are living through their kids sometimes. And some parents are even really delusional about, you know, their kids'
where they're going to go
or where they're going to go. I mean, anybody can really make it if you work hard enough, you know, or not make it to the NBA, but like make it or have some success with the sport, right, or the game. If you work hard enough, you know, if you put in the hours, but sometimes that's not their dream. Sometimes that's your dream, you know. So,
and the dream can change, right? And so you had a kid that was all about basketball for 13, 14, 15 years, and now it's like, I'm not even. And that's hard for some parents to walk away from because they've invested themselves into that dream. But now it's like, I don't want to do it anymore.
You know, it's funny. There's a kid, I don't want to say the school, but there's a kid that's a rising senior right now that's been tearing it up, shooting the crap out the ball, and just told his dad that he doesn't want to play his senior year. Very, very good. A WCAC kid, you know, very talented kid. Just told his dad he doesn't want to play no more. So
And that's tough. And I told my son, I was like, anytime you want to hop off this train before you get college money, if you get college money, if you get scholarship to college, man, you're going to have to. But anytime before then, you can get off. Well, if you get that college money, it's going to be paid for. We're going to have a conversation. But you could hop off any point in time before that. Right. Or take out a student loan. Let's just figure it out. Yeah, no, I think that's important. And so, we've talked about You Reach, I Teach. We talked about kind of the environment and the feel and the vibe. So when an athlete comes into your program, what do you want them to leave with beyond just the basketball training?
That's a good question. I want them to feel like somebody cared about them, or somebody gave their all into helping them maybe pursue their goal, or, I want them to leave here better. Like, it's one way or another, just be better than you came in. I want them to show that. I want them to see that we really, are giving our all, and, whatever it is you want us to do for you, if it's,
right,
respectable.
Right.
Yeah, that we're gonna do it, and I just want them to. That's a tough question, man. That's a tough question, but I want them to just, feel like we're giving it our all for them, and they're getting 100% out of it.
No, I can see it. Like, it's geared around basketball, but to have somebody willing to pour into you, right? So I see it in your trainers, I see it in you, and when they're struggling or they're frustrated because they're missing their shot, or in between transition, in between classes, just going over. Like, I think you have a standard that's really awesome, is everybody that comes in that door and sits on these bleachers is greeted by every trainer in here. Yeah. Every trainer walks around, handshakes, daps them up. When you come in, you start talking, but then you go through, you dap up all the players. It's just that connectedness, and almost like I see you. Like, it's not just business, right? Yeah. I'm coming in here, and you'll go along the way, and you'll stop and have a little conversation here, a little conversation here. Hey, what about this school? Or what about this? Or what are you doing outside of here? Or, oh, for real, dirt bikes? Like, it's just building an environment that has a connection to it. And I think that's something that you get here, is that you're seen, you're cared for. I mean, how many conversations have we had just about Jackson and basketball, or something that he's dealing with frustrating, or we just talk about what you post on Instagram, or we end up, I hop in your Madden group and we just play a little Madden, and I smoke everybody in the Madden group. I gotta drop that.
Hey, I definitely smoked you a few times.
So we're gonna make sure, make sure, because you told me who the best was in there, and I beat him by like 20. So I'm gonna just leave that there and let that go.
When you first got in the group, I smoked you. Remember that game?
Yeah, sometimes we all have off games. Michael Jordan missed shots too. So
I'll say this: you had probably beat me maybe one time, max 2 times more than I beat you.
Wow. Okay.
It's probably like 5-3.
All right. Whatever helps you sleep at night. We want to make sure that you're good. For young athletes, and you talked about growing up, like you ran into the guy that you were practicing against in summer league, and you were like, he was one of the strongest guys you've gone up against. How do confidence, fear, comparison, and like self-worth, how does that show up in young players when they come in here? Like, you see it where I want to be on that court over there versus this court over here kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's big. And to even go outside of that, I know there's a kid in here that I feel like is really deserving of, a lot of praise and high ranking and all that stuff. And it's slowly starting to happen for him, but at first it wasn't. He was kind of flying under the radar, but I knew he was as good as he is, but everybody out there didn't really know, and for whatever reason, if it's, people blocking and this and that, because that does happen in this space. But it's tough, you definitely see somebody get offered by somebody, and you're like, man, I'm better than that kid, right? Whatever it is, right. And it does happen, but you got to run your race. You gotta run your race and continue to put in the work and continue to trust God or whoever you believe in.
Right.
Just continue to stay prayed up and just keep working, because your opportunity will come.
Right.
Hard work will meet opportunity at some point.
Yeah.
But I see it with the groups too. Parents come in and they're like, "Oh, my kid is elite. He should be down there," and this and that. And maybe he is, but we don't know it yet. So, And there's also a way we run things in here, like certain feet and stuff. Even with Jackson, when Jackson first came in here, we might send him down a couple times, and he definitely could compete with those guys.
Right.
But it's like, let's not skip steps here. Like, even though he can, when we're playing, he can compete. But when we slow things down, he's doing this wrong. So let's fix that real quick, and then get that right before we send him up there with the big dogs. Even though he might be ready to play with them, and sometimes we'll train somebody in a quote unquote lower group, but then we'll send them down when we're getting ready to play.
And we've talked about that, right? Like it's okay, maybe this might be the quote unquote lower group, but when you're down there, you should be dominating. If you're down there and you're playing at that level, then this might be the level you play at. If you come up here and you're not really confident, then let's go get some confidence. And so I think it's all in how you structure the environment. And so
to touch on that, that's a good point. I think that even with college guys, like everybody wants to go to the high major school, but like pick the school that you're going to play at and you're going to continue to develop at and continue to get better at. Because like, what's the point of going high major to say you at a high major and you on the bench? We don't know if you're good or not.
You got to get time. You got to get play time.
You're not getting no clock. So it's like, it's okay to be a big fish in a small pond versus being a small fish in a huge pond. What I'm saying? So like, it's okay to get reps with a lower, tier level or whatever it is, and just go sharpen your tool set. And it also helps you gain confidence. And confidence is the biggest thing of basketball, because a lot of times you can see somebody so talented, but they're not confident. Like they don't believe that they're that good. I see how good you are, but if you don't believe it, doesn't matter. So it's like,
there's a little bit of delusion that makes a good basketball player, right? I got to believe that I'm going to take this shot and it's going to go in, and then I have to come back and believe I'm going to take the shot again, even if I miss this. So there's a little bit of delusion that's good for basketball.
There's definitely a little bit of delusion that comes along with the game. So you definitely got to be, you got to believe. You got to believe in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we kind of wrap up here and conclude, kind of one last opportunity, talk to the folks about You Reach, I Teach, what that experience is like, what you're aiming to get out of them, and how you want to help young hoopers develop.
So You Reach, I Teach. I want to I look at this place as like a safe space, to come in, get better, work on your game, get some mentors, get some big brothers. It's very family oriented in here. It's like a family. I've got some guys in here that's worked for me for like, I don't even want to say worked for me, worked with me or worked together for like, 6-7 years now, 5 years. I've got several on staff that's like 2-3 years in, like, so it's like very, very family oriented. We pack up and we go to games. We'll be at this game and that game. We move around all together. Some of them might go there. I'm over here. Stuff like that. So we all keeping an eye, and we just building a big old family out here, man.
It's a community. I've seen you guys out at the different games, public school games, everything else. And so just building a community around basketball in a good environment, and what it brings to the table. Man, we didn't even touch on the craziness that you could find in your league with the way some of these coaches be approaching things. You had to have ref and security up here. But no, I think the game's evolving, and I think the mental health side of it has to evolve. The way that players handle identity, the way that parents approach the game, approach it from the sidelines, how they encourage, the way that coaches approach it too, right? Because that old school coaching style doesn't always work for the way these kids are now, man. But I thank you so much for your time. I thank you for joining us today. This has been great. It's been long coming. We're gonna have to run it back again, but I'm excited, thankful for having you join us on this episode of Beyond the Game.
No, I'm happy to be here, man. I'm glad I'm the first in person. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad you gave me that respect.
Even though I don't respect it. No, we're good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Make sure to follow CLSI on Instagram and TikTok at CLSI.life. Share this episode. Engage with the movement. Together, we can close the resilience gap.